The scripture lesson this morning comes from 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter, verses 1 through 3. 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 3. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. But now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. The greatest of these is love. Let us join together in prayer. Gracious and loving God, let your Spirit be with us, that all that we say and do will be found acceptable in your sight now and forever. Amen. Now, this passage is very familiar to all of us because we hear it at a lot of weddings. And we assume that it's all about love, and that's what we're talking about at weddings. Love. That love. That ain't it. That's not what this is about. This is about describing what love looks like. Especially from the standpoint of people of faith. This is what love should look like so others can see it and go, oh, that's what love looks like. It's not yes, it can be romantic. Yes, it can be, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that, and we have to take it deeper than that. We live in a world where a lot of Christians look very angry. You hear them on the television and in the radio, and they're not really kind to each other. And it's ugly. And people look at that and say, well, gee, if that's Christianity, I'm not interested. I don't want that. I don't want to go there. So, think about what Paul talked about. Patience. Oh. How many of you love patience? Never, ever, ever, ever pray for patience, because you'll have a need for it. There's a reason we go to a doctor's office and sit for hours, and we're called patients. There's that messed up correlation between those two. I don't know how it happened, but it does. Because if we're not patient, we're going to be very grumpy patients. Patience means waiting. Things don't happen immediately. I know Micah would love that Amelia was here in, about 3 months ago? But fully developed. We have to wait. We want spring now, but it's early February. Peach growers, they want some more frost to take care of some of the flowers so they don't have to go out and spend tedious hours picking blossoms off the trees. We need it to help reduce the bug population.
Yeah.
kind. They kind of go together. If you're patient, it's easier to be kind. You know, it's so difficult when you're frustrated and impatient and somebody comes up and you're trying to be polite and you go, "Thank you very much for your help." You know, the teeth are gritted and the jaw's locked and the tone is really not terribly kind. We need to be kind. That's what love is.
Yeah.
Love is kind. Envious, boastful, arrogant, rude, etc., etc., etc. You know, just because somebody else has got doesn't mean we got to get it. I would so love to have blah, 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 blah. Do we need it? No. What would I do with it? Dust it? Maybe. We get arrogant because, and sometimes when we have, we get arrogant about it and say, "Look at what I got." You don't. It's easy. And that's not what we're supposed to be about. Yes, my congregation has 3 soup kitchens and 45,000 people on a Sunday morning. I don't know half of them. So that means I don't know a tenth of them. But they're all mine. No, they're not. They're God's. You're just there. That's not what it's about. Our faith is to be kind, not the opposite. Resentful. We're not supposed to be resentful. I resent that. I like being resentful. I resent not being resentful. Wait. Why? It's okay. I really, the one time I really got nervous giving a sermon was when 2 retired ministers who had been camp counselors when I was going to camp called me Sunday morning to say they would be in church. Like, no! And I got up there and I found the key. I pretended they weren't there. Well, I could have resented them being there because it disturbed me. It's okay. I don't have to be that way if I just remember what I'm doing, who I am. And it's okay. Rejoice when bad things happen. That doesn't mean we get crazy. We're running around, "Yeah, I broke my arm!" That doesn't make sense. We rejoice because we know that what we're going through will pass. We'll get through it. It won't be easy. It won't be pleasant, but we'll get there. You know, it's life is like that. It's like trying to go out the door that you've gone out days after day after day, and you know you push, but you try to pull. And instead of getting angry at the door, because it's always been that way, stop and think, well, I wasn't paying attention. And I can remember to push. Rejoice. We don't need to know everything or understand everything. God is bigger than what we can handle. I was a math and science geek in high school. When I was in seminary, to ground myself, I'd do trig proofs and solve quadratic equations to ground myself. And my wife married me anyway because she knew this going in. She thought I was crazy. And she was right. But I still believe because I don't know everything. But there's such beauty in everything around us, such elaborateness. The fact that everything operates in the cosmos under specific rules and laws, it's so balanced and structured. I won't ever understand it all. And I know that, and I'm okay with it. I don't have to have God give me all the secrets to creation. It worked. I don't need to worry about it. And I can live with the idea that I don't have to know it all. I can live that understanding is not all there is. That being Christian means loving, and being kind, and avoiding the anger and hostility that the world sometimes throws at us. That's what Paul's talking about here in Corinthians. This is it. And the greatest of these, faith, hope, and love. The greatest is love. No matter when our faith is shaky, when we're hopeless, if we love, we'll get through to the other two.
Yeah.
And others will see.
That's right.
And if we go out and be loving in everything we do, and generous and hopeful and kind, people are going to notice, and it'll work. So, yes, think of this passage at weddings and go, but then take it deeper. And live these words every day. If you have to, look at it in the morning. Get into the habit. Look at it every day, every morning for a couple of weeks until you just get up and automatically know, okay, I got to do this. And the real challenge, especially for my kids having to go back through Atlanta today, driving, not being resentful. Frustrated. Be patient. Be loving for that fool that just cuts you off. Say a prayer for them because God knows they need it. But do it out of grace and love.
Yeah, that's right.
And we can do this. Regardless of our time, our age, our experience, our abilities, we can be what Paul talked about. We can be truly Christian.